are many pockets of unintended collateral damage, whether it's intended or not. And nobody has a better insight into that than Senator Roger Marshall from Kansas. There's no better person to discuss the likes of inflation, ESG, and immigration issues in agriculture in America. Please welcome Senator Roger Marshall to the show. Thank you very much, Senator, for taking the time. Yesterday, we had the Fed come on trying to fight inflation. Inflation's a big deal. Input prices. You add in the fact that we're trying to get rid of fossil fuels, and boy, oh boy, things get real expensive for our farmers in a heartbeat. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Scott, you nailed it. And this is why grocery prices are going to stay high. All these input prices, input costs for farmers are going up. And that impacts the fact that groceries are up some 13% under Joe Biden. Interest rates are a great example. These farmers have an operation loan. Typically, $1 million is not unheard of. $1 million operation loan is not unheard of in the state of Kansas. Maybe a year or two ago, that was at maybe 3.25%. Today, it's at 6.5%. So that's another 30%, another $30,000 taken away from your bottom line. And again, that's it's all additive, it's multiplicative. And the bigger problems remain, though, the prices of diesel fuel and the prices of fertilizer.
So when you were on break, did you get to talk to some of your constituents? I mean, what are the farmers saying about the situation we find ourselves in now?
Well, certainly inflation is still the #1 concern they talk about, the fact that nitrogen fertilizers have quadrupled. But beyond that, they want to talk about labor issues, that they don't have enough workers for the farm right now, that we have rail problems as well. And like many parts of the country, Kansas has a significant drought going on. So all these are driving up the cost of producing groceries for American families and really the world.
We had a great stock picker on in the last segment, and he was talking about, the Fed's in its worst case scenario. They're having to really hike interest rates at the same time they're seeing that the economy is starting to falter, okay? That's really not the ideal situation to be in by any means. But on top of that, Senator, is that we have to throw in these folks on the left that want to get rid of fossil fuels. So we're in a weakening economy. We're hiking interest rates aggressively, and we're trying to wean ourselves off of fossil fuels to something that can't handle the load we have now. I mean, you could not paint a worse picture, could you?
Right. So the Feds, it'll be impossible for the Feds to raise interest rates to keep up with Joe Biden's policies. We need a reversal in Joe Biden's policies. We need different people in leadership. We need different people leading the Congress on the House and the Senate side. Otherwise, interest rates are going to keep going up and driving down demand. Eventually, this is policy driven, that this president has declared a war on American agriculture and American energy. And you think about inflation. What drives inflation? Well, it's the price of energy, it's the price of groceries, and it's the price of housing. And this president's policies are continuing to drive those up with no end in sight.
And to your point, I was out in Garden City, Kansas. I'm sure you know where that is, in Scott City as well, and talking to some big ranchers out there. And these guys are smart, and they know what's going on. But you know what? I spoke to 200 of them, Senator, and this was only about 6 to 8 weeks ago, and not a lot of them knew about ESG and what that's been doing and how that's been driving some of these policy decisions, right? And I think maybe it would be a good idea. I mean, that's the one way that we're going to be able to beat these ESG zealots, is that we have to make sure that everybody knows what it is. Is there anything out there that you're thinking about that can make sure that these ranchers and farmers know what that is? Because that's something that can sneak up on you, and so all of a sudden somebody's in Congress beating that drum and you didn't even know about it.
Right. Well, I think as these farmers and ranchers reach out to their bankers, they're going to hear loud and clear about it. Certainly, I know my friends in the oil and gas industry are having problems with access to capital because of the ESG scores the Feds want to give. And I can assure you, next in line will be farmers and ranchers. So I think from a business standpoint, they're going to feel the impact of it as well. And I think more and more of them do understand it. I think it's going to impact things like your credit card, your investments. All those things are going to end up with some type of an ESG score. As these banks and these big credit card companies are becoming woke as well, we're all going to feel that on a daily basis.
And real quick, my last big one would be this. It's one of the bigger things that'll ever happen in my lifetime, maybe even yours, is this 100% push moving from combustion engines over to electric vehicles. But we're doing it without a vote. We're doing it without a talking period. There was no verbiage. Nobody's getting to say anything. All of a sudden, it's just another mandate like we had in the pandemic. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Scott, this is a religion to these people, and really at this point you're talking about coal-powered cars. They may be electric driven, but they're coal-powered.
Right.
So that's the ridiculousness in the statement. Look, whenever we talk about energy, we should talk about the environment, but we always have to include an affordability quotient and a reliability quotient as well. So I'm all for embracing new clean energies, but I'm also in favor of taking traditional energies and making them cleaner. I want to leave this world cleaner, healthier, and safer than we found it, and there's a right way to do it, and we can do it if we can just get Joe Biden and this Democrat government out of the way.
Well, it'll be a while here, but I really appreciate you coming on today. I know you're a busy guy, but these things are happening all around us. Interest rates, inflation, ESG, and the likes all affect these farmers and the ranchers out there, and I wanted to make sure we touch base with them, and you're the perfect guy to do that with. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you, Senator Roger Marshall from Kansas.